Muy buenas noches, tengan todos bienvenidos una vez más. Es lunes de Monday Night Football Talk. Soy Ricardo García Ochoa, con el gusto de volverles a saludar y agradecerle a toda América Latina de estar con nosotros esta noche. Tenemos un invitado muy especial, 4 veces convocado al tazón de los profesionales, un hombre que con sus piernas y su fortaleza física llevó a los Titans de Tennessee a ganar su único campeonato de la conferencia americana en su historia. No solamente eso, alcanzó las 10,000 yardas por la vía terrestre y solamente él y Jim Brown lo han hecho siendo titulares sin perderse un solo partido a lo largo de su carrera. Eddie George, Touchdown Eddie, está con nosotros esta noche, pero permítame dar una bienvenida a mi compañero, ustedes lo conocen muy bien, Mr. Randy Fuller. How are you, brother? How's the week treating you?
Man, I am doing great. One of the reasons I'm doing so well, I want to remind everybody, wear your mask. Wear your mask. This is just, I got to put that out there. I want everybody to get back to normal. I want to see football again. I want to see Eddie back on the screen. So we got to do what we have to do. So I just want to throw that out there. Eddie, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you. And Ricardo, it's always great to be on the show with you, my brother.
I appreciate it so much. Gracias, Randy. Dice Randy que usen su mascarilla, pero sin más preámbulos. Vamos a dar una cordial bienvenida. Let's give him a great welcome to one of the greatest running backs that have ever played the game, a college football Hall of Famer, number 27, Mr. Eddie George. Eddie, bienvenido al programa. Eddie, how are you, my brother? Thank you for being part of Monday Night Football Talk.
Hey, I'm glad to be a part of it. Hello to all my brothers and sisters in Mexico and all the people that are out there watching. Thank you for your support. Really honored to be on here tonight, talking football. Like Randy said, keep your mask on so we can hopefully have some games this year.
Es correcto, dice Eddie que está emocionado de estar en el programa, que agradece la invitación, manda un saludo a todos los fans de México y América Latina que están viendo el programa y que definitivamente pónganse esa máscara porque queremos que haya fútbol americano. Let me have the first play of this game, Eddie. I want to ask you, take me back to Philadelphia. You were born, grew up in the fighting city, the city of champions. Naciste y creciste en Filadelfia. Tell me something about your childhood and once you started playing football. Cuando empezaste a jugar fútbol americano en tu niñez.
I came out of my mother's womb with the helmet, shoulder pads, and the football. I can't really recall the moment I fell in love with it. I just remember growing up in my house, and my father would watch every game on television. At the time, it was college football on Saturdays, pro football on Sundays, Monday Night Football highlights, and I was trying to stay awake until we got to the highlights with Howard Cosell calling the highlights and watching Earl Campbell rumble down the sideline and Tony Dorsett and Walter Payton, and that's where I kind of fell in love with the game. And my father would take me to all the high school games in Philadelphia around the area, and how he talked about these kids and with such reverence. I just fell in love with it. And I wanted him to talk about me the same way like he did Jim Brown, So I grew up loving the game.
Wow, dice Eddie que él nació con el casco puesto, su padre lo llevaba a partidos de fútbol americano colegial, veía todos los juegos en televisión, sábado de fútbol americano colegial profesional, obviamente Monday Night Football, y que así fue como se enamoró de este juego y definitivamente quería que su padre hablara también de él como hablaba de los otros jugadores. Go ahead, Randy. I'm just warming up, enjoying this with Eddie George.
That's impressive that he remembered all of that, and Randy, that's a gift.
Man, listen, he's a great talent. He should be on ESPN, and I mean, here locally in the States one day. I hate to steal him, but we're going to need him one day. But Eddie, I mean, gosh, my thing is, I know you ended up loving the game at some point. How did you end up loving the position of a running back at your size? At what point did you grow to the size you are, or when did you go on a growth spurt? How did that happen?
Well, I always wanted to play running back, Randy. Like I said, my father talked about Jim Brown He loved Jim Brown, and he played running back. My father did in high school and also in the Army, and he never had the chance to play professionally or go to college. Okay. So I had to play running back. It was no qualms about it. I was about 5'8", 5'9" in the 9th, 10th grade. Then that summer I shot up to 6 foot. Then I left my high school Abington and went to a military academy in Virginia, and that's when I had my biggest growth spurt between the age of 15 and 18. And I just kind of grew it. It grew into that situation. Now I've had like quickness growing up because I was a smaller back, but as I grew, I let my size just being 6'3", 225, 20, 28, 27 pounds, I could inflict pain on defenders. So that's what it kind of went to.
Le pregunta Randy a Eddie de cómo se enamoró de la posición de corredor. Dice Eddie que él recuerda que su papá le mostraba, obviamente, jugadores como Walter Payton, Jim Brown, y él quería ser un corredor como ellos, que durante la secundaria creció porque medía 1,60 y tantos, 1,70 y cuando llega a los últimos años de preparatoria es cuando obviamente da el brinco a 1,91 100 kilogramos y le gustaba lastimar a los oponentes, pero aprovechar sus habilidades físicas para poder competir en la posición. There's something so special, Eddie, always about our mothers and the way they teach us how to live life. Siempre hay algo muy especial de nuestras madres y la manera que nos enseñan ellas a vivir la vida. But that trip to that military academy, that shaped you up, that made you become the man you are today, te ayudó a convertirte en el hombre que eres hoy en día with the help of your mother, con la ayuda de tu madre?
Without a doubt. My mother made the tough decision when I was 15 years old to send me to Fort King Military Academy. It wasn't an easy decision. I can only imagine what was going through her mind when she had to do it. So I have 2 sons, and it would hurt me to have to send them away. And but she needed to do that in order to save my life. I was headed down the wrong road. Really didn't care too much about my academics. Didn't have a lot going on other than a dream that I was going to play football and somehow magically get there without working out and taking care of my schoolwork. And what Fort Union taught me um, was friendships that are long lasting, discipline, and really how to become a better prepared person in life. Still, some of the same principles and some of the things I've learned from Fort Union, I still do today. And without that, I would not be sitting here having this conversation with you or have achieved all that I've achieved in my life up to this point and beyond.
Dice que definitivamente no fue fácil para su mamá tener que desprenderse de él, meterlo en esta academia militar en Fort Union, en Virginia, pero que definitivamente ahí aprendió el valorar las amistades, obviamente la disciplina, la dedicación. Él estaba descuidando sus estudios y que esto fue un cambio muy importante en su vida porque lo ayudó a convertirse en el hombre que es ahora y de no haber sido así, con el apoyo de ella y de la academia y jugar fútbol americano, definitivamente no hubiera alcanzado los logros que hasta el momento en su vida ha logrado y no estaríamos teniendo en estos momentos esta conversación. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Eddie, I noticed that you mentioned your father loving Jim Brown. And even though he didn't play for the Ohio State, is there a correlation with your father being a fan of Jim Brown and you choosing to play in the state of Ohio, close to where Jim Brown played? Is there a correlation there?
No, not at all. It wasn't like I had to go and play for Ohio State. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so naturally I was a big Penn State fan. And I dreamed of playing for Joe Paterno, Black Beach, the Big Blue, playing at State College, 100,000 strong. I grew up loving DJ Dozier, Blair Thomas. Benny, not Benny Testaverde. We picked Benny off in the
the national championship game. Shane Colan did that.
Shane Colan, yeah. All right, man, he was Tim Manoa, the fullback. No, those are my guys, man. And I wanted to go to Penn State and play running back so my father could watch me there. But Penn State had a bevy of running backs that were amazing at my freshman year. Kajana Carter, Mike Pitts, Stephen Pitts, Mike Archie.
Mike.
JT Morris. I mean, they were all young. And they looked at me and my size. It was like, nah, you want to play linebacker, and it broke my heart because I said, just let me compete. Let me just come in and compete. That's all I want to do. And I went to Ohio State for my visit, and immediately I fell in love with it. When I stood at the 50-yard line at Ohio Stadium, nobody was in there. It just was like flashes and visions of plays being made and success, and I just felt at home. It just felt like a glove, And Ohio State had some running backs there too. I mean, they had the best running back duo in the country at the time. Raymond Harris, Butler Benote, Robert Smith, Jeff Cothran. I mean, you name them.
You naming them. I mean,
all of them went to the league. So it lets you know the talent that was there. But it gave me some time. They were upperclassmen that I can come in, learn, and eventually take over.
Le pregunta Randy a Eddie si había una relación entre Jim Brown, que era el corredor número 1 de su padre, y haber elegido Ohio State, estado donde precisamente jugó Jim Brown con Cleveland. Pero dice, no, Penn State en realidad, cuando lo reclutaron y era el equipo de sus amores desde niño, creciendo él en Filadelfia, veían que la posición de corredor estaba llena y lo querían cambiar de posición porque estaban Quillana Carter, Blair Thomas, y decían, no, Eddie, mejor con tu tamaño puedes ser un defensivo. Sin embargo, Ohio State sí creyó en él. Coach Cooper was the head coach de Ohio State, era el head coach de Ohio State, le dio la oportunidad de corredor, a pesar de que Ohio State tiene un gran programa. Y se enamoró del programa de Ohio State y fue y jugó para los Buckeyes y tuvo una gran carrera. But Eddie, tell me about 1995, the year that you win that Heisman Trophy and become the best running back in the nation, and you ran over everybody, including Notre Dame, who I hate, by the way, y tengo que decirlo. 1995, Eddie George gana el trofeo Heisman y le pasa por encima a todos los equipos que enfrentaba, teniendo una gran campaña. So tell me, how sweet was it for you in 1995 and what that meant for you and your family and your loved ones to win that Heisman Trophy? ¿Qué significó para tus seres queridos ganar ese trofeo Heisman?
Well, that was a really special year, really special team that I was on. It's really a team award more so than an individual. I just represent the era. Like I said, I mentioned the guys, the upperclassmen that kind of showed me the ropes, that raised me. Chico Nelson, Roger Harper, and Raymond, and just the guys that my upperclassmen. Also, my class was Sean Springs, Ricky Dudley, Terry Glenn, God bless his soul, Orlando Pace. I mean, we just had some really, really great, talented guys. We worked for Michael Vrabel was on our defensive line, and Luke Fickle. So we had deep in talent, and we had to work every day. I like to say I won the Heisman that summer prior to jumping on the field, because that was the hardest I've ever worked in my entire life, in my entire career, because I could sense that something special was brewing. We weren't on anybody's radar to win our conference. I certainly wasn't on anybody's radar to win the Heisman. I was counted as an all conference back at best going into the season. But I would do things unorthodox that summer that most guys wouldn't do. I took ballet lessons while guys were, everybody else was playing basketball or going to cookouts. So every Saturday, I would go and work out deals where I give tickets to the game in order to get lessons. I didn't have any money to pay. Wow. So I was determined to be the best. And I figured that if I could be the best player on this roster, on this team, period, no matter what position, then I would have to be considered one of the best players in the country. And lo and behold, the schedule worked out, and it just worked out in my favor that year, going up against Tommy Frazier, Danny Werfel, and two other great, Donnell Autry and Troy Davis, just wonderful players, but they called my name, and it just changed the trajectory of my life.
Le pregunto, obviamente ustedes escucharon de esa temporada 95 y haber ganado el trofeo Heisman, y dice Eddie, bueno, ese equipo de 95 estaba plagado de grandes figuras, ustedes escucharon algunos de esos nombres, pero que él sabe que en verano de ese año fue cuando ganó el trofeo Heisman. Su determinación, hacer las cosas no de la manera convencional, inclusive tomar clases de ballet, intercambiar boletos de los partidos de Ohio State para tomar clases, se preparó, tuvo la determinación y logró ganar ese trofeo Heisman, que más que un premio individual era un premio colectivo por el equipo que él tenía y la temporada que tuvieron compitiendo por el trofeo Heisman contra grandes figuras también. Tommy Fraser de Nebraska, Danny Werfel from Florida State, jugadores que también tuvieron una gran campaña, pero que en un principio Eddie George no estaba en el radar ni siquiera para ser el mejor jugador del Big Ten Conference, ni siquiera tampoco, mucho menos de la nación. Go ahead, Randy.
Man, Eddie, you just named just an all-star of people that I played with on the highest level. And man, Butler Benote sticks out right away because Butler and I came into the same draft class to the Denver Broncos. And this dude was the fastest guy I ever seen at the time, and so much untapped talent. They moved him from running back to DB.
And Randy, he was just one of the fast. He wasn't the fastest on the team. He wasn't. It was Joey Galloway was faster than Butler.
Yeah, well, I found that out later when I played against Galloway.
Fastest guy.
Oh my God, dude!
Think about that.
No, well, just because there's so much talent there, I'm not even gonna go there. In fact, we're gonna stay on the collegiate level. I want to know, out of all those guys, who's the toughest players that you played against on the collegiate level, and what is your most memorable game, your senior year or throughout your college season?
Are you talking about played against in practice or played against
just practice or in a game?
I'll have to say Illinois by far probably the toughest in terms of defense. Dana Howard, Halachek, Simeon Rice, Kevin Hardy. They had some grown men on that defense for a good 4-year run, and they were not playing. You know, they weren't good offensively, but defensively they were going to try to knock your head into next year. Michigan was also a tough road, but I think for me, one of the toughest players that I've seen at Ohio State, hands down, has to be Corey Stringer, our offensive tackle, who died unfortunately as a heat exhaustion. But Corey was nasty. You know, he played like a true thug in the trenches. Where he'll grab you by the throat, throw you down, smash on you, pick you up back down again, and drive you in the ground. I mean, he was just nasty. One of the greatest athletes I think I've seen, and we had a few. Terry was one, but Chris Sanders. Tippy was a phenomenal athlete who can do everything. He could jump, he could run, he ran track. He was a track guy playing football. You know, we had to learn the nuances of playing the game. But in terms of athlete, I have to say Tip, because he can jump over your head, you know, and dunk football. So we had some freak athletes at Ohio State, and certainly some guys that I played against. By far, Illinois, corner to corner, was probably the toughest team I played against.
Le pregunta Randy a Eddie que de los jugadores que ha enfrentado, los equipos con los que se ha enfrentado en su carrera colegial, cuáles fueron los más difíciles. Se habla de Illinois, que tenía a Simeon Rice, tenía Kevin Hardy, 2 first-round draft choices for the NFL, those two. Y también recuerda a Michigan con grandes equipos, dice como compañero, obviamente, Corey Stringer, a quien perdimos cuando jugaba con los Vikings de Minnesota por un golpe de calor. Corey Stringer falleció siendo un jugador de la NFL, pero recuerda a Christy P. Sanders como un extraordinario atleta también en esos años con los Buckeyes de Ohio State, y a Joey Galloway, quizás el jugador más rápido que haya visto, y él recuerda también con esa escuadra de Ohio State. Randy, and Eddie, I want to share the love of the fans to you guys from Latin America. Raúl Méndez, he's the president of the Kiwanis Football League in Panama. He's watching the show tonight. Sends his best to you, Eddie, and both to you, Randy. Alex Sangar, also Luis Alberto Cañamar, Cesar Garcia, Titans up, he says, from Monterrey, Mexico, Eddie. Nice. Eduardo Padrón, also Eddie George, he says. Ruben Gaspar, Eddie. Eduardo Padrón is also watching the show. He says, you are the best of all time. Jorge Osuna Ballí, Juan José Corona, Robert Gutierrez, saludos, Titan family, Mexico. They are watching the show tonight. Right. Yarda 506 from Costa Rica are also watching the show. And they want to ask you, what did it mean to you, Eddie, that your jersey was retired with one of your greatest friends, and teammates. I just want to touch this because this past weekend, it was 11 years since the passing of one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the Houston Oilers and Tennessee Titans, your great friend, and I remember him from his college days also, Steve McNair. Lo recordamos a Steve McNair, se acaban de cumplir 11 años desde su fallecimiento, but what did it mean to you not having Steve beside you, but having your number and his number retired on the same day?
But first, before I answer the question, I want to say thank you to everybody that had some wonderful things to say about me. I love you, brothers down in Mexico. Appreciate the love. Didn't know you guys watched us. The Titans, we're Titan fans. That means a lot. Thank you. Feel free to call me Eduardo Jorge. That's fine. That's fine. Just go ahead and do that.
And this is all throughout Latin America, Eddie, not just in Mexico. All through Latin America.
Latin America. Okay.
Yes.
Blessings. Yeah. But it meant a lot for one to get my jersey retired. Amy Adams Shrunk, the majority owner for the Titans, found it in her heart to celebrate Steve and I in that regard. Typically, in that position, you have to have a gold jacket to get your number retired with the organization. Those are team rules, and either one of us don't have one. So she felt like she wanted to celebrate us, recognize us, and she didn't want to do one without the other because we were like Batman and Robin. And you know, you can call him Steve Robin or me Batman or Batman, doesn't matter. We were the faces of this franchise, moving from Houston to Tennessee, and endured some really tough years, some lean years, and we were the ambassadors, the pioneers that helped lead the way to what the Titans are today. And you know, it was only right, it was only fitting for us to have our jersey retired together. You mentioned July the 4th, and every July the 4th is never going to be the same. It still feels surreal. It still doesn't feel real. It feels like at any moment I'm gonna walk into a local bar and see Steve's smiling face and talk about the games we played and how I watched them in college at Alcorn State. I had the opportunity to go down to I keep saying Alcorn. I was going to kill me. Alcorn State. Yeah, always Alcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't screw that up. Alcorn State. They retired his jersey down there, and I went and spoke on his behalf, and just to see the love that he has for people and people have for Steve worldwide is remarkable. He touched a lot of lives, and me being one of them, and that's just my man. I'll always be my boy.
Dice Eddie con relación al retiro de su número junto al de o su jersey junto a Steve McNair con los Titans, que Amy Adams tuvo esa idea, que hay una regla en los Titans de Tennessee de que tienes primero que tener ese saco amarillo del Salón de la Fama para que entonces tu número sea retirado, pero en esta ocasión la propietaria de los Titans de Tennessee decidió que esa regla se tenía que romper. Para él fue un momento muy especial, fue su hermano, definitivamente eran como Batman y Robin, cualquiera que ustedes quieran llamar Robin o Batman, eso depende de ustedes, pero fueron una gran pareja y fueron la cara de la franquicia cuando se mudaron de Houston a Nashville, Tennessee, y que él ha ido a Alcorn State a hablar en representación de Steve McNair, que definitivamente fue un hombre que tocó muchas vidas, no solamente en los Estados Unidos, sino también en América Latina, y tocó la vida en especial también de Eddie George. Great words, Eddie. I appreciate that. Go ahead, Randy.
Man, I was not even ready to go to the NFL yet, because when we get to that level, because when we get to that level, I got to talk about all the times Eddie ran me over. hey, that's
I can still see the tire marks on your face.
I'm telling you, listen. You know what I say to guys that are Hall of Famers, like a guy like Eddie, is that if you're in the Hall of Fame, in order to get there, you had to run over somebody.
Yeah.
And if I was the one that got ran over, shouldn't I get half of that jacket?
Well, if and when I get one, I'll give you a thread of it. No. How about that?
Yeah, that's the one for the NFL Hall of Fame. I'm talking about any Hall of Fame. Any Hall of Fame. But seriously, no, listen, we had some battles. The Steelers, Titans, have battled. I mean, year after year out. I mean, gosh, our whole game plan was to stop Eddie George from running the ball down our throats. I mean, that was the game plan. We weren't, even though we knew Steve was an incredible football player, we realized that the coaching staff never just let him just be himself and just air it out. So I remember as a DB just sitting on routes, because I was not afraid that they were going to go past me. Now, what I did learn, Eddie, was after I did it the first game, the second game, they game planned me and ran a bunch of double moves in the second time. But I felt like I knew you guys. I knew you guys because A, Steve McNair was my fraternity brother.
Mm-hmm.
B, you guys moved to Tennessee and you practiced on my campus at Tennessee State University. C, we were in the same conference. So I really, really felt like I knew you guys the whole time. So just talk for a moment about what that game week, that preparation against playing against the Steelers. Tell us about that from your side.
It was Steelers week. We played y'all. It was Steelers week. It wasn't like Cincinnati or Cleveland. And this goes back to Houston. You know, it was Steelers week. You had to say much about it at all. And we played y'all my first year in '96. We played y'all in Three Rivers. And I remember Levon Kirkland standing over me saying, "This ain't Iowa." and it was, Dan, that was like Pittsburgh for me was much like the Pistons for Michael Jordan. It was physical, it was rough, and they did things unorthodox, like they would blitz a corner, no help over the top, because they knew that we weren't going to throw the football. You know, it was like just bodies coming from all over the place. And I just remember, man, it was just like a blur. Like, wow, that was crazy. But I learned quickly just how physical that game was, how fast they played, and how I had to raise my level of intensity just to match theirs, because that's we wouldn't play like that for 60 plus minutes.
Le pregunta Randy a Eddie acerca de enfrentar a los Steelers, porque se enfrentaron Randy y Eddie en el campo. Y dice Eddie que él recuerda que Steeler Week era prepararse para los Steelers, enfrentar a los acereros, y que definitivamente exigía el máximo de él, que recuerda Levon Kirkland, gran linebacker de los Steelers, le dijo, hey, no somos Iowa, no te confundas, los colores son iguales, pero no somos Iowa. Y que tenía que prepararse ese primer año 1996, llegar preparado, exigirse al máximo. Pittsburgh mandaba un blitz, una carga desde el cornerback, y él sabía que Dick LeBeau le iba a mandar lo que tenía obviamente en su defensa para tratar de detenerlo, pero recuerda que era algo muy especial. Los Steelers eran para Eddie George lo que los Pistons de Detroit fueron para Michael Jordan. Gentlemen, just let me read a few of the messages that we're getting. Rubén Gaspar, Alejandro from Costa Rica, Javier from Monterrey. He's a 49ers fan, but he loves you, Eddie. Saludos desde Monterrey. Alejandro Morales also. Emerson Novoa, de excelente programa. He likes the show. Gerardo Lerma from Monterrey. Congratulations, Eddie, on your career. Fernando Arturo Quiroz. Greetings from Panama, Eddie. They want to see you come down to Panama and watch the Panama Canal. Miguel Angel Yagüe is also from Mexico City. Alex San. We got a bunch of messages. Gentlemen, let's just take a short break. It's halftime, Eddie, and we'll come back in a couple of minutes. Estamos en Monday Night Football Talk con el líder corredor en la historia de los Tennessee Titans Houston Oilers, Mr. Eddie George. Ya volvemos. Ok, estamos de regreso en Monday Night Football Talk. Seguimos hablando con una leyenda viviente, a living legend, Mr. Eddie Touchdown George, and a lot of the people, mucha de la gente de América Latina en sintonía esta noche. Eddie, I know you have a special event because and we're going to talk about your acting career. You're the third actor we've had the chance to interview on this show. We've had Raul Torres, who's a part of Billions and For Life and a bunch of series. And we've also had Coach Bobby Jose, who played O.J. Simpson back in the 90s. And now we have the chance to have not only a great football player, but also a great actor. And we're going to talk about Broadway Eddie George too. Vamos a hablar también de Broadway Eddie George esta noche. But I wanna also, Eddie, ask you about, I mean, how does acting come into the life of a football player? And not only that, because I know you're a big time personality and you're going to have a big event this Thursday, because you can also interview and talk to players and coaches. And we hope to have you as a regular here on Monday Night Football Talk. But talk about what you're going to be doing on Thursday. ¿Qué vas a estar haciendo el jueves con el coach Mike Vrabel? And please invite all the fans that are watching this show who are big time Tennessee Titans fans and they want to keep you in their computers at their homes and watch what you're doing now that you're away from football but still talking about football, hablando de fútbol americano. Go ahead, Eddie.
Cigars, cocktails, and conversations, a concept I came up with about a year and a half ago, right when Steve and myself, our jerseys were retired. I had an event surrounding that. I brought in my nemesis, arch enemy, Ray Lewis, who was also a good friend of mine, to celebrate that with me. And we had the first one to kick it off. And it was just talking about our careers, our past, our journey, what made us who we are, our fathers, a lot of similarities between us, the conversations that we've had over the years. It was for the Titans fans that have been there from the beginning, and the Titans in Baltimore. And there's Mike Vrabel, myself, who was my teammate at Ohio State, and now he's the current head coach with the Tennessee Titans. He's going to come on, and we're going to do this virtually because due to COVID-19, we can't have people around. So this is a very intimate event for the fans to get behind the helmet, if you will, and to be unfiltered, to talk about everything under the sun, race relations, to COVID-19, to Patrick Mahomes' impact, to Derrick Henry, to our battles at Ohio State, and when we used to run against each other and 10-yard sprints and so forth. And we're going to get to really know who Mike Vrabel is as a man. And that's the whole idea. So we want to invite all you Titans fans in Latin America, Costa Rica, Argentina, anybody south of the equator, come on, check us out. We'll have a good time. But also you're going to have a cigar and a cocktail. So it's going to be nice and smooth. So you'll enjoy it.
Invita a Eddie, dice, de esto que se llama Cigars, Cocktails and Conversation. Va a tener a Mike Vrabel, el head coach de los Titans de Tennessee, July 16, julio 16. Una conversación en la que él se le ocurrió esta idea cuando se retiró su número y el de Steve McNair. Va a incluir obviamente a Ray Lewis, va a ser una conversación virtual. La idea es hablar de las carreras que han tenido ellos, los enfrentamientos, la preparación, todo desde adentro del casco, y los invita a todos ustedes en América Latina. I'm gonna also mention your Twitter account, Eddie, so they can log into that and get more information. Su cuenta de Twitter es @EddieGeorge2727 para que lo sigan, inmediatamente sean parte de este gran evento que organiza Eddie George. Go ahead, Randy.
Man, I want to get this in before we run out of time already, Eddie. I'm celebrating 24 years of marriage today.
Congratulations.
And I understand that you just had your 16th year anniversary. So I want to wish you and Taj a happy belated anniversary.
Thank you,
and
brother.
Just let you know, us married brothers, Ricardo just celebrated too. We all got to make sure these marriages stay together. So I just want to, my hats off to all you guys for doing a great job as a father. I also was telling Ricardo that I used to babysit your son and he didn't believe me. So I had to get you on here and let him know that I was the ultimate babysitter. And I just want to dive in to you having your father there speak life into your career. What is it like for you to speak life into your kids and their careers?
Wow, it is. It is fatherhood is interesting because it is an honor to do so. Anybody can be a dad in terms
Mhm.
of bringing a child into the world, but there are a few fathers that are there for their children on a day-to-day basis, uh, and you can be present but still absent. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Mhm.
So when I come through the door at my house, if I'm out working in my office, I am engaged with my son. I'm engaged with both of my sons. Ask them how their days are. We had this thing when pre-COVID-19, every Sunday we go to the country club and have best buddy brunch where
Mhm.
we don't have our phones. We talk about, whatever is on our minds, whether it's politics, girls, football, life, whatever that is. And it's our time to be together. So I've never pushed football on any of my children. Something that they wanted to do.
Mhm.
But I inspire them to think beyond the game of football, stretch beyond your limits, push yourselves to be the best person you can be. And don't be afraid to explore what's in your heart and try to find, what's true for you. Always search for to be authentic in your journey, and don't worry about what other people think because it really doesn't matter. It's your journey, and you have to find your God-given purpose, and you have to live that. So, being a father is such a huge responsibility,
Mhm.
more so than anything else, because in my quiet moments, I'm constantly praying for them and over them when they don't realize it.
Absolutely.
Intercessory prayer is so powerful and such a
Yes.
powerful tool that you must use as a parent or a
Mhm.
grandparent. And I used to think my grandmother was crazy. Every Thanksgiving, we would do the family prayer, and it took them 18 hours to make the meal, and then my grandmother prayed for another two. But I get it. I get it now because
Yes.
when you experience life and
Right.
you see things and you've gone through things, you've been through the wars, you've been through the trials and errors and the highs and lows, you learn how to pray. And it's just a huge responsibility to constantly make sure that your kids are thinking the right things, doing the right things, having a constant, try to have a constant open line of communication with them that's real and authentic is important because kids will shut you down, and not tell you everything. And I was 15 years old, 18 years old at one time, and I didn't tell my mother everything, and that's something that I've learned. So it's a learning experience to say the least.
Le pregunta Randy a Eddie acerca de ser padre y dice Eddie George que bueno, cualquiera puede traer un hijo a este mundo, pero otra cosa muy diferente es ser un padre, estar presente, hablar con ellos, que inclusive previo a la pandemia, se reunía con sus hijos el fin de semana, iban a comer al club y hablaban con sus dos hijos de otras cosas, sin los celulares en la mano, de todos los temas, las muchachas, obviamente el fútbol americano, la vida en sí, y que él ha mantenido una línea de comunicación directa con sus hijos, auténtica, y que cada momento que tiene la oportunidad reza por sus hijos, que es muy importante saber lo que están pensando, y eso es parte de lo que Eddie George está comentando esta noche con nosotros, de esa relación que él tiene con sus hijos para sacarlos adelante y procurar que cuando él tenía entre 15 y 18 años era muy difícil tratar de establecer una comunicación, perdón, entablar una comunicación con su mamá, pero lo hizo y que aprendió también de su abuela sobre el tema de cocinar la comida y dar gracias a Dios por ello. I think we lost Eddie, Randy.
Yeah,
He's not,
looks like it.
I can't see him on the screen, but I'm hoping he'll come back.
Yep.
Uh, Arnulfo Treviño, I'm going to take the time also. Voy a aprovechar para mandar saludos.
Okay.
Arnulfo Treviño, Titan Up, fan de los Titans de Tennessee. Ariel Cedeño, sends his best regards. Dice que los números de Steve y de Eddie merecían ser retirados. Hey, good thing to have you back, Eddie. Don't go away, man. Don't go away. We have to play the fourth quarter, the four quarters.
Let's go. We got it.
I was just translating your answer, Eddie, and we can agree with you more about that part of being there for our kids and not only being a father, providing for them, but also having that communication is very important. But I don't want to get away from a name that you said a few minutes ago, because man, if Steve McNair and Eddie George are gonna go all the way into the history of the Tennessee Titans, Houston Oilers, when we talk about great matches in pro football between a running back and a linebacker,
Mm-hmm.
Ray Lewis and Eddie George will always be, connected.
Yes.
What can you tell me about Ray Lewis? ¿Qué nos puedes decir de Ray Lewis?
One of the toughest competitors I've ever played against. You talk about, Pittsburgh. Well, after 1997, we didn't lose to Pittsburgh maybe 5 or 7 years, something like that. We went like a 7-year run against y'all.
Yep.
And then Baltimore became our nemesis.
Yep.
Shortly thereafter, and all was because of Ray Lewis. I have never seen one man, galvanize and energize a team, but also a city the way that he has. Considering what he went through in 2000, when he was staring at his career, his life possibly going down the drain, and to come out of that as a champion and really revive his entire career and the trajectory of his life is truly remarkable. And that takes a great deal of mental toughness to go through that. So that being said, when you went up against Ray, it's one thing to be physically prepared, mentally prepared, but you had to be spiritually ready, because in order to beat that team and him, you had to beat his spirit. You had to crush his spirit, and that was something that you were not going to do. At some point in the game, he was going to make a play, whether he was down or out. He was going to make a play that was going to be a game changer. And he's, in my opinion, one probably the top 5 greatest players to ever play the game, because he's smart, instinctive, but his leadership ability was just legendary, or is legendary.
Para Eddie George, Ray Lewis, un hombre que galvanizó, le dio energía a la ciudad de Baltimore, representaba a ese equipo, uno de los más duros rivales que haya enfrentado, pero que para vencerlo no tenía solamente que llegar preparado mental y físicamente, sino también espiritualmente. Tratar de romper el espíritu de Ray Lewis no era fácil, y una vez ya habían superado la rivalidad con Pittsburgh, Baltimore se convirtió en una figura, y fue un hombre que se levantó de ese episodio difícil en su vida en el año 2000, casi mandando por el caño su carrera por un problema fuera del terreno de juego, pero que definitivamente es uno de los 5 mejores jugadores, en las palabras de Eddie George, en la historia de la NFL. Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Eddie, you and I talked a little about, your connections to both Houston and Nashville. So I call you the man of 2 cities, because you are loved by the people here in Houston where I live, and you're loved in Nashville. What can you tell us about just seeing Nashville grow from the time that you came there? Um, what year was that? 97? Was it
97? Yeah, Randy.
Yeah.
Well, you went to school here, so
yeah. So I know, and I had to move away, but you have literally seen that city from when downtown used to close at 5 o'clock to being open till 5 a.m.
Yeah, it's been remarkable over the last decade or so. Has exploded into bride-made city. It's been crazy. The amount of tourists that are enamored with the country music aspect, Music City. We have tech here. We have healthcare. We have finance. There's just so many sectors of business that have come to Nashville. One, because of no state tax, the tax breaks that you get. 2, it's a growing city. Nashville, the TV show, was such a big hit worldwide that people were like, man, I got to come to Nashville to get this hot chicken. I got to come to Nashville to go to Hattie B's. I got to go to Nashville to go to Monell's. I got to come to Nashville to experience 12th Avenue South. And I'm looking like, what?
I know.
I don't see, like, I guess.
I know.
Energy just changed. I mean, about 4 or 5 years ago, I'll never forget this. I was on 12th Avenue South, finished working out, and it was right on the cusp of spring. It was St. Patrick's Day. And I walked out and I said, man, the energy out here is crazy. Like, people are walking up and down the street from all over. And I said, man, this is not the Nashville that I know. It felt like I was the energy of New Orleans or
Yeah.
Las
San
Vegas.
Francisco. I mean,
Yeah.
you become a foodie city. It's so much to do here. And every time I drive downtown, I can't recognize it because there's another building popping up out of the ground. There's
Right.
still 30 cranes in the air.
Wow.
And a lot of that is due to the great leadership of the mayors of our city. You know, Butch Sheridan, um, who's done a fantastic job, who's with the convention city uh, committee here. Has done an amazing job in recruiting a lot of these companies here and creating these relationships with other international cities to really put Nashville on the map. And a lot of that was due to the success of the Titans earlier on, you know, going on the Super Bowl run. And then you had the Nashville Predators, the Nashville Predators, and then it's Major League Soccer. So this city has been growing in leaps and bounds, but I think responsibly. There are still some areas that we still need to address, especially when it comes to the underserved community and
Yeah.
affordable housing and proper schooling for Metro. Those are some areas that we still are still behind on, but we've got to address that. But for the most part, in terms of internationally speaking, there are a lot of opportunities for young entrepreneurs to have jobs. But we've come a long way, but there's still a long way to go in terms of reaching back and helping those that are underserved.
Andy le pregunta a Eddie sobre Nashville, una ciudad que cambió desde la llegada de los Titans de Tennessee. Comenta Eddie precisamente eso. Hace más de una década, definitivamente Nashville no era el Nashville que es ahora. Desarrollo de edificios, la cultura ha cambiado. Es una ciudad vibrante y que tiene mucho turismo, favorecida por muchos factores importantes también, como el tema de los impuestos, la tecnología, pero que tienen que mejorar en otras áreas que poco a poco están trabajando. But Eddie, let's talk about Eddie George, the thespian, the actor, Julius Caesar, Chicago on Broadway. Hablemos del Eddie George, que es el actor, el hombre que ha estado en Broadway, que ha interpretado obras tan importantes como Julio César de Shakespeare. How did acting come into your life and why is it important to you? ¿Cómo llegó la actuación a tu vida y por qué es importante para ti?
All right. Well, the short version of this is when I retired in 2000, I was about 31 years old. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do after my life, after my football life was over. Um, it was exciting, but yet nerve wracking because I just didn't know. I was getting opportunities to audition for various roles and failed miserably at it. And not in LA. It was just the worst experience ever. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. So I said, if I'm going to go into acting, I need to take it seriously. So I sought out an acting coach. My first coach was Jeff Carr, who is Brandy's brother-in-law, and he worked with me for quite some time, for 3 years, just on having the confidence to speak in front of people. It really helped my speaking voice. It helped me become more aware. It helped me reading various books from Shakespeare to James Weldon Johnson to these different writers, James Baldwin and so forth, opened my mind up to a completely new world. And there I was able to find ways to take all the pain and fear and doubt that I had um, after I finished playing football and filter that through the voice of a character. And it was cathartic for me and it was healing for me. And I found an affinity, just the love of telling stories in live settings. It was the closest thing that I felt to football because of the camaraderie with the rest of the cast, the bright lights of the stage, having the stakes so high that you're in front of people, it's alive, it's real, and you get that instant gratification or reaction to what you're doing. So all of that really spoke to me, and it's developed me in such a way, both on the stage and off the stage, like no other. So that's what the arts mean to me. It's much needed in our schools. It's much needed in our society because we're able to tell stories that have to be told. It's so important, especially now. And I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute because of all the racial tension that's going on during COVID-19. My son and I, we watched Malcolm X. We're watching Do the Right Thing. We're watching all these stories that without them, we don't know our history. We don't know where to go from here. How do we become better? It doesn't challenge you. So I like thought-provoking historical dramas, comedies, whatever, because it breaks it brings levity to a situation. It's thought-provoking. It's love stories. It moves you in a great way. So it's much needed in our society. And whatever role that I have an opportunity to play, whether it's on screen or on the stage, I try to bring that authentic person and really go there so they'll tell the truth. And I'm just the vessel, and this has helped me out tremendously. So the long-winded answer, that's how I got into acting.
I'm going to shorten out that translation because it's a great story, Eddie. But I hope I tell the people in Latin America exactly what you just said, because this is fantastic. Dice Eddie que la actuación llegó para él en un momento en el que tenía muchas dudas terminando su carrera como jugador de fútbol americano, pero que fue una catarsis porque le permitió que se pareciera a lo que pasaba en el campo sudamericano. La camaradería con los compañeros del elenco, las luces del escenario, el poder transmitir, el comunicar, habla de la actuación y la cultura, que son fragmentos importantes para cualquier sociedad, y que él ahora ve películas con sus hijos, con todo ese tema de la tensión racial que existe en los Estados Unidos durante la pandemia, poder ver Malcolm X con ellos, Do the Right Thing de Spike Lee. Green Book is one I'm going to throw out there, Eddie, as a great movie that we all need to watch. I just enjoy that one every time I see it. Pero que para él definitivamente la actuación ha sido como una manera de expresarse a sí mismo y mostrar lo que auténticamente es Eddie George como persona sobre el escenario o a través de la pantalla. Next play, Randy. I mean, I'm just enjoying this and I'm just looking at the watch just to make the clock stop.
I know, because I was getting ready to audition for the next role in Eddie's next play.
Uh-huh.
Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It's like the fresh ornament upon the head that ran down upon the beard. I'll stop right there.
I thought you were going to play the stool.
No.
No, hey man, listen, I love Eddie. Eddie, you are truly a Renaissance man. And what I want to probably bring up, because it's needed, the time that we're dealing with here in this country, in this nation, is that we're looking for leadership. You and I have been ex-professional football player. The biggest thing we know that comes with the territory is that you have to be a leader. All right. With that being said, do you, because you have the fortitude, you have the attitude, you have the perseverance, you have all the characteristics of traits that when you speak, people listen. You've done it on the field, you've done it on the stage. So do you ever see yourself moving into a political role where possibly you could be a mayor of the city of Nashville or somewhere? Do you ever see that in your future? Or is that a possibility?
I never say never. If God puts me in that position, if that's where I'm to move and I'm to serve, then absolutely. I think, or I know that politics starts in the household.
Right.
In terms of me, in terms of leadership, is my household. I have to be the leader here. I have to set the tone for that. I have to be accountable. And leading is not dictating. Leading is serving others.
Absolutely.
Be of service, and that's what's missing in this country. We know what our president is about. We see the rhetoric that comes out of the White House and how insensitive he can be toward people of color and our issues. And if the economy is great, then that's his feather in his cap. And we understand that. I think it's a time when people are rising up, saying enough is enough, both Black, white, Chinese, Latino, and saying, hey, the only way we get to do this is together. And when we say Black Lives Matter, we don't say we're the only lives that matter.
Right.
We're saying that we matter in terms of equality.
Right.
We want to be equal. We want to have the equal rights. And that all starts with the 13th Amendment, which I would recommend that people watch on Netflix. That has to be ratified. I love the fact that they're changing names and removing things of the past, the Confederate flag. That's all good, but that shouldn't be the top priority. It needs to be
Right.
these laws and policies that have been woven into the fabric of our country that has really set the stage for how African Americans are treated. We're seeing this every single day played out, and it's tiring, it's sickening. And for those that say that it does not exist, you know, or I'm like, where did it go? you know, where did it go? I mean, I'm 40, I'm 46 years old, and I can remember being in the third grade at all white Catholic school in Philadelphia, and me being kids, we're all playing in the back,
Right.
but I was singled out. My seat was pushed in the back of the classroom, turned away from everybody, so I
Mm.
could learn. And
Wow.
in that moment, even if I wasn't saying anything to anybody, I couldn't
Right.
talk to anybody. So
Mm.
it taught me that if you're not going to act right and and be I was a child,
Right.
then you're not going to be a part of this group. And so I can recall different situations growing up where race definitely played a role into my life, and I choose to say, okay, racism is not going to be my problem. That's your problem. I don't have time. I've got too much great things that I want to do that I'm going to use it as my fuel to succeed. It might be a little bit tougher, but hey, that's what makes us who we are. So, but to answer your question, if things go right, who knows? I would
Is that
welcome it.
something that you even have you considered that at all, or is that just
No, 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 no. I
okay?
mean,
Okay, I'm just planting a seed.
I,
I'm telling you
Yep.
what my vision and what I see for you. So
I, I
look,
got
we'll
you.
discuss that on another show.
Yeah, yeah. You
Eh,
got
eh,
you got plenty of time.
Eddie, I just want to take what you just told Randy, answering his question, and grab that to ask you about sports. Do
Yeah.
you think sports, is it the time to play sports even though things are the way they are in the world with the pandemic? And we've talked about something that has, you know, created waves all over the world after George Floyd's was murdered in Minneapolis.
Mhm.
Do you think it's the time to go back on the field, on the court, on the ice, whatever the sport is?
As long as it's safe, every day I'm hearing something different about COVID-19. That is, people that are in their 30s are not. It's not as serious, but someone just on Broadway died who was healthy just today. He was 41 years old, so you
Yep.
never know how it plays out. As long as it's safe to play the game, then I would recommend it. I think we need sports to break the monotony, to break the pain that we see. I think sports will hopefully won't take away from the racial tension, the racial unease
Unrest.
that's there, unrest that's
Right.
there, but hopefully it can bring more light to it. And our athletes they have the forum to do just that and to continue to push the needle toward equality. So at some point we definitely need sports too, because this has been 2020 has been rough. I mean, it all started with Kobe Bryant, and
Kobe.
the loss
Yeah.
of him and his daughter, and then COVID-19 hit, and then the plethora of issues with black men dying, the police officers week after week, and justice not being served. And it's I had a call with someone the other week, and um, I'm just exhausted. It's
Right.
overwhelming,
Yep.
Yeah.
and you get to a point you don't get numb to it. It's just like it's overwhelming.
Mhm.
But as long as everyone is talking about it, and it's funny how COVID-19 forced everyone to stay at home, sit in front of your computer, be with your family, and to really see it all unfold before you. To say, okay, this is God's way of saying this is what it's all about. I'm going to stop everything around the world to bring to light what's been in the darkness. And it's up to us as a society, everyone, to recognize that and to raise the bar on that and push the envelope to make it equal for everybody.
Eddie, even though that was a very powerful message, on every show, at the end of the show, we ask our guests to send a message, something they want to tell the fans. who are tuning in tonight and watching us from all of the countries in Latin America. Anything special you want to tell them having this opportunity, Eddie? Go ahead, please.
Well, yes. And it's my deal is real simple and sweet. Choose God. Every morning that I wake up, that I'm blessed to see another day. I'm blessed to see the sun shining or the rain falling. I can walk up my stairs pain free. I'm relatively healthy as far as I know. I choose God. I choose God every single morning, and that's a choice that you make. It's not just you say I choose God and it goes on forever. It's a decision you make every single day. Without the Spirit of God in my life, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have the beautiful family that I have. I wouldn't have the platform that I have. I wouldn't have the vision. If I were to write the script for myself, I would have screwed it up a long time ago. So I know I'm divinely guided. So in anything, choose God through these tough times. I know it's tough and people aren't working. I don't know what the situation is like in Mexico, but it's a great time to settle in, to get quiet, to get grounded, and to find out what God is telling you. And every day I'm praying these prayers over my family, friends, and loved ones, and that's what I do. And I trust that everything in my heart desires, will come to fruition for my dreams, my goals, my family, and so forth. So there's one thing that I could share with anybody that's listening right now, is to choose God and choose love, and to really spend time to get to know Him, because He's only going to be as serious with you as you are with Him. It's like any relationship. So if you're spending time in the Word and seeking His voice and His message and your God-given purpose, the more time you're doing that, the more He's going to give back to you. So that's what I would say.
Eddie George les recomienda a todos, elijan a Dios, valoren las cosas por más sencillas que tenemos en la vida, que en este momento de la pandemia que estamos atravesando, momentos difíciles todos, es muy importante. Muestra sus oraciones, pide obviamente por todos, que es una relación muy importante, tiene que ser sincera, estrecha entre Dios y ustedes, y creyendo en los sueños es como las cosas se hacen realidad. Randy, man, we should have Eddie again, man. just enjoy this.
Didn't I tell you keep the message short, Eddie? Then boy, I tell
can't help it, man. I go on these rants, man.
I knew we were gonna look up and the time was gonna be gone. I already knew it. I still got 42 questions on this phone right here.
42.
But no, man, I'm not gonna ask anymore. I'm only gonna just say hello to your family for me. We love you here in Houston. And we definitely look forward to having you back on the show and taking a trip with us over to Latin America to do some of the things that we do. So thank you so much.
And a big shout out to the Kima
Palms Recovery.
Palms Recovery. You guys do an amazing job, man.
Thank you.
Good work. Thank you for your service, bro.
All right, appreciate it.
Muy bien, hemos llegado al final del programa. Eddie, on behalf of everybody in Latin America watching you tonight, thank you so much, sir. It's been a great pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for taking the time. You've honored us tonight being a guest on Monday Night Football Talk. En nombre de todo el equipo, Eddie George, Gonzalo Torres, Randy Fuller, Ricardo García les da las gracias. Pásenla bien y que tengan una extraordinaria noche.
All right.